The PM issues a warning for Danielle Smith.
That is a very dangerous bluff.
As Western premiers meet, Smith is on the defensive over her separation referendum.
I'm just trying to get a gauge of where Albertans are at.
Plus, keeping up with artificial intelligence.
It's accelerated at a pace that we need to adapt and move with as well.
Why humans are still the key to the fight to stay safe online. And uncovering the past right below our feet.
As we have all of these many layers and history and time depth of use in one place.
U of C archaeology students sift through time on the Bow River Flats.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Tara Nelson.
Hello and thank you for joining us. We begin with a stark warning from Prime Minister Mark Carney for Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. Last week, Smith announced that a referendum set for October would include a question about whether or not the province should pursue separation. Carney calls that push a, quote, dangerous bluff and a move that is not helpful as he and Smith try to improve ties between Ottawa and Alberta.
Is it helpful to ask these fundamental questions? No, it's not helpful. Of course it's not. Is it the democratic will of Albertans? Did they vote for this in the last provincial election? No, they didn't. It wasn't on the ballot paper.
Danielle Smith is in Kananaskis tonight with the rest of the Western premiers. Officially, they are supposed to be talking about the economy, trade barriers, and defense, but Alberta separation is looming large over the entire event. Our Kevin Green is there, joining us from the Kananaskis Lodge where the premiers are meeting. And Kevin, last week there was a strong difference of opinion between our premier and David Eby of BC. So how is that affecting the meeting?
Well, Terry, even though, as you mentioned, this is supposed to be a meeting about the economy, that question of separation is overshadowing everything. And that rift that developed last week between Eby and Smith doesn't seem to be closing at all. That's despite David Eby showing up sporting a pair of cowboy boots gifted to him by Danielle Smith. She gave a pair to every premier, by the way. Eby called Smith's referendum question dangerous and reckless, and he says he doesn't think she's handling the issue properly. Smith, for her part, continued to lay at least part of the blame for Alberta's separatists' sentiment on Eby and his predecessors in BC, saying they've held back Alberta's prosperity. Along those lines, Eby also weighed in, saying BC will not accept the dropping of a tanker ban in northern waters, which is one of Danielle Smith's key demands. He says the Premier's conference has been knocked off the rails by Smith's referendum announcement last week.
At the end of the day, this meeting is supposed to be about things like internal trade barriers, national defense strategy, economic corridors. I mean, these topics seem at best confusing, if not totally awkward, in light of the referendum question that Premier Smith has put forward.
I think that there just needs to be self-reflection. You don't end up with a situation where 1 million or more Albertans have given up on the country overnight. You get there because of successive barriers to us being able to realize our economic prosperity and be able to attract investment.
Tara, this meeting will end tomorrow with a press conference and a communique in which the premiers will outline everything they say they've accomplished. But in this case, with all of the drama and personal conflict going on behind the scenes, it may be more important to look at that communique not for what it contains, but for what they didn't achieve. Back to you.
Okay, Kevin, thank you. Now, last week's announcement by the Premier that a referendum will be held in the fall has everyone in political circles voicing their support or displeasure with the idea. Federalists want to remain cooperative with Ottawa, while dedicated separatists are wanting to chart a new path. And the conversation is only expected to get louder over the next 5 months. Here's Tyson Fedor.
The Prime Minister is comparing Alberta's separation debate to the Brexit crisis in the UK when Mark Carney was the Governor of the Bank of England, even calling the referendum a dangerous bluff.
I saw firsthand what happened in the United Kingdom when the view was vote for this, it'll be soft, and then we'll negotiate, etc. And they end up, and they're still 10 years later trying to undo.
He has no right to wag his finger. That makes it worse. Arguably, he screwed up on Brexit. He came out as part of Project Fear, and it backfired.
Premier Danielle Smith criticized the Prime Minister for wading into the debate that will be up to Albertans and not Ottawa.
I think it's also incumbent upon everyone not to dismiss Albertans' legitimate grievances. Let's acknowledge them. Let's acknowledge that Canada maybe went down the wrong path for a long time.
A referendum October 19th will shape how Alberta sees itself moving forward, and if that includes staying within Confederation or charting a new course of independence.
This is not just something that came to the forefront a minute ago, and I think with the Carney government coming back in, after the 10 years of Trudeau in Alberta, I think that Albertans have basically had enough.
But those that want to remain say this debate will be ironed out in the fall.
Separation is not an option. It simply would cause more problems to the province and our whole country than maybe is seriously approaching and trying to resolve some of these issues.
And no matter which way the electorate votes, the Premier plans to take action.
I will listen to the will of the people.
This comes as the 37-word referendum question is confusing 51% of Albertans, according to a new Angus Reid poll over the weekend. 61% of the 800 people surveyed would vote to stay in Canada, and 36% would vote to start the process for another separation referendum.
These are going to be 5 very uphill months for the Premier as she is criticized really from both sides.
And within Conservative circles, a new group of Federalists, including former Premier Jason Kenney and Alberta's former Finance Minister, is campaigning to stay.
There are so many of us conservative-minded Albertans who really believe that Alberta's best future is within Confederation.
Tyson is live at the Grand Theatre tonight. Tyson, a debate on separation is just wrapping up there.
Tara, a debate that is the future of Canada, and it featured former Premier Jason Kenney along with lawyer that is Keith Wilson, who's been a big independence advocate through this separation debate. They talked about many things as this was hosted by the Aristotle Foundation, which was in front of a sold-out crowd. The topics of today's conversation touched on the economic, political, and cultural debate when it comes to the Alberta separation debate in this country and the West's place in Canada. We're seeing people actually just filing out in the last couple of minutes as this debate is set to wrap up here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Tara?
Okay, Tyson, thank you. Pembina Pipeline is going ahead with a new natural gas processing facility in Alberta. The Heartland Extraction Plant has an estimated cost of about $570 million and an anticipated start date in late 2029. After extraction, the ethane mix will be processed at Dow's Fort Saskatchewan facility and Pembina's Redwater complex.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
A woman and her 2 children were struck by a car in front of a Northeast grocery store this afternoon. Police say the driver hit the gas instead of the brake by mistake and ran into the pedestrians just off Martindale Drive. The woman suffered serious injuries. The children were taken to hospital with minor injuries. The grocery store owner tells us this is the 4th time his building has been hit. A vehicle veered across several lanes of traffic on 17th Ave Southeast this afternoon. The driver came to a stop after crashing into some bushes. Emergency crews say the driver was unconscious after experiencing a medical issue and had to be extracted from the vehicle. 17th Avenue was closed near 70th Street Southeast for some time. One person suffered serious, potentially life-threatening injuries in a 2-vehicle crash along a notorious stretch of Highway 9. A SUV and a semi-truck collided about 10:45 this morning at the intersection of Highways 9 and 564 east of Delacour. The 2 people in the SUV were injured. The adult was flown to Foothills by Stars Air Ambulance. A child was taken to the Children's Hospital by ground ambulance. The truck driver was not injured. The province has hired a consultant to design a roundabout for this intersection, but for now it will continue to monitor and maintain the existing safety measures. Airdrie RCMP have released details about their investigation at a residence in Canoe Square. They responded to reports of a shot fired at the home Sunday and closed the area for several hours to investigate. RCMP believe it was targeted, but the residence was unoccupied. No injuries have been reported. Their investigation continues, and anyone with information is asked to call Airdrie RCMP or Crime Stoppers. A black bear cub was tranquilized by Fish and Wildlife Saturday afternoon in Canmore. The cub was feeding on an elk. RCMP closed off Spurline Trail as a precaution in case the mother was nearby. Officers determined there was no risk and the cub was tranquilized and relocated back to the woods. Part of Highway 40 in K-Country is closed to hikers and cyclists because of bears in the area. The closed section runs from Kananaskis Lakes Trail to Highwood Pass. The province says multiple bears, including breeding pairs, are active in the area. Highway 40 is closed to vehicles until June 15th annually. The water supply is looking good for most of Alberta's major rivers this year. That's thanks to the significant snowpack in the mountains. The river forecast through to September shows volumes will be above normal or well above normal. The province says strong river flows, full reservoirs, and more expected mountain snowmelt is good news for communities, farmers, and industry. The Milk River Basin is the only exception. It is expected to see volumes well below normal because early season runoff soaked into the soil rather than making its way to the river. All right, let's bring Gina in for our first peek at the forecast. We have a very summery week ahead.
Yes, summer temperatures are really going to dominate the weather story in many areas this week. I mean, we're at 25 right now. That updated just a couple of minutes ago. We were sitting at 24 heading into the 6 o'clock hour here, but looking good right now. Breezy out there, 20 to 40 kilometers an hour from the southeast currently. Not a lot happening on your radar satellite. That story will be changing for some areas as we head into early Tuesday morning and into Tuesday night as well, including us, where we could see some late day thunderstorms tomorrow evening, Tara, and more heat on the way as well for some parts of the province.
Thank you, Gina. Alberta-born astronaut Josh Kutrick stopped by the U of C today to share details of his trip to space. Kutrick will leave Earth in September for the International Space Station, where he will live and work for 6 months. He says this will be a unique mission because of all the science he will have the chance to do. Many of those experiments are coming from the U of C, and he says he'll do his best to make sure they are a success. Kutrick also says it is an honor to represent Canada in the space program.
Feels very humbling, makes you feel very, very lucky, very grateful. A lot of Canadian pride, I would say, as well, to see that Canada is one of still very few countries in the world that does it, that is invited to participate in long-duration missions like this to outer space.
Kutrick says from now until September, he will be spending a lot of time at SpaceX in Los Angeles, learning about the vehicle that will take him to and from space. A cybersecurity conference is underway in Calgary today as attendees learn about information security. The big topic is staying ahead of artificial intelligence. And a helping hand from City Hall today. The mayor and some councillors throw on their aprons to make sandwiches for Calgary kids in need. A local not-for-profit is lending a hand to Alberta's cybersecurity professionals and in turn looking to help what is becoming a growing challenge for people and businesses alike. Moses Woldu explains.
B-Sides Calgary has earned a reputation of producing top cybersecurity talent, becoming a recruitment hotbed for future cybersecurity professionals. The not-for-profit is continuing that trend with its 10th annual cybersecurity conference.
So we want to make sure that they get into roles, that they're supporting cybersecurity and helping, push the envelope forward.
Not only will attendees be looking for jobs, but we'll hear from leading security researchers, consultants, and local hackers in what Karen's calls an evolving industry.
What we need to look for is those, getting people into jobs, into roles that will be on the defensive side of things.
It's what inspired one of B-Side's most successful businesses.
We're in a world now where code is cheap, putting quotation marks, but solving business problems never goes out of style.
AJ Lease founded Bricade, a series of video games that help businesses educate employees on cybersecurity from a fun approach.
This actually has pragmatic security tips baked right into it. So as you navigate this story of a security analyst trying to secure their weekend, there are real inputs in there, real bits of information that matter to your business right now.
20% of the attendees are future employees. And even in a world where artificial intelligence is being integrated into everyday life, cybersecurity is an area that will need a human touch.
The regulatory side of things has definitely changed the field for us. So I think there's a lot of catch-up that regulatory has allowed us to actually move our foot forward in the security space.
It is what has inspired students looking to get into the cybersecurity field.
Things that are really interesting here, a lot of fields to explore, like fishing and stuff, but like in the protected way.
And a bright future ahead for those in the industry in Calgary.
We need to make sure that those people are there to support the growing field. AI is not going to cut everything all along.
Moses Wooldu, CTV News, Calgary.
A report from IBM in 2025 says Canada saw an increase in data breaches from financial, pharmaceutical, and industrial sectors, averaging from $8 to $10 million. The Pope is warning of the risks of artificial intelligence, especially in how it has changed how war is waged.
Other very troubling voices have also reached me about increasingly autonomous weapons systems, practically beyond any human reach to govern them effectively.
The pontiff is urging world leaders to regulate the development of AI systems that can spread misinformation and promote conflict. The Pope says the Vatican would like to work with AI developers to discuss the proper use of the technology.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
Let's bring Gina back in as we look ahead to our 5-day forecast.
Yeah, a beautiful way to wrap up the month of May. We're already in the home stretch here. We're going to see a lot of places with really warm temperatures this week, and then other areas more to the west of us dealing with those pop-up thunder showers in the afternoon. And Calgary, somewhere in the middle. Right now we're seeing those winds not too bad for us at around 20 to 40 kilometers an hour, and that direction of the wind is what helped really heat us up today, to getting us to a current high of 25 degrees. I'm still holding out hope we might make it up to 26. Areas more to the south of us, Pincher Creek, Lethbridge, we're seeing winds today around 30 to 50 kilometers an hour. That will be the case for tomorrow too. Take a look at these temperatures right now. Medicine Hat sitting at 31, 29 in Brooks, 28 in Lethbridge. Like I mentioned, we're at around 25 currently, 27 in Red Deer and 26 in the capital region there. Looking ahead to tomorrow, more places getting even more warm, including us. We're getting to 27 for our high tomorrow. Down the road though, Brooks 33 degrees, Medicine Hat 34. So when we're seeing temperature values like that, we usually see a heat warning associated with it, and that will be the case for those regions in the south here, right along the Saskatchewan border. A yellow level heat warning in effect as those highs are expected to be around 33 degrees for the next couple of days, with lows at around 16 degrees. So you're not really cooling off overnight. You're holding on to a lot of heat. That's the story to the east. To the west, like I mentioned, a lot of precipitation starting to creep into parts of BC right now. We'll see that enter into areas like the Crow's Nest Pass, the East Kootenay, and even us in the Calgary area here late tomorrow, possibly on Wednesday, and again on Thursday. You can see some areas, again, closer to the foothills, could get some pop-up thunderstorms. Non-severe, but the potential is there. So we'll keep an eye out for that tomorrow as well, as we hit that high of 27 degrees with a 60% chance of some early evening or overnight thunderstorms. These will be non-severe in nature. Wednesday looking good for the most part. Mix of sun and cloud, maybe a scattered shower here or there. Very similar setup for Thursday as well, with more of that cloud moving in. Friday is going to be great with a lot of sunshine, high of 26 degrees, and then we're really going to see a switch up by the time Saturday comes around. I'll mention that in our next hit here, but that's a look at your Action Furnace 5-day forecast.
Thank you, Gina. CN says it will spend $100 million over 10 years to support shelters and other groups that help the homeless. Calgary's Mustard Seed says that is fantastic news as the demand for its services grows.
Shelters are full every single night, and our outreach programs like the one behind me are seeing in some cases up to 300 or more people a day that are coming in for services. And so it's meant a lot more demand for the services of the Mustard Seed, which in one sense is unfortunate that people feel the need to reach out to us for something that should be so basic as food and housing.
It's unclear how much of CN's donation will make its way to Calgary. Some members of City Council stopped by the Brown Bagging for Calgary Kids kitchen this morning. The mayor and several councillors worked a volunteer shift in the central kitchen today to help pack healthy lunches for Calgary kids in need. May 25th is Brown Bagging a Day aimed at highlighting food insecurity. Volunteers say the demand is growing as the cost of living rises.
It's very important that we do have that increased visibility, especially with the mayor coming in. We need more volunteers on a regular basis. We have great corporate volunteers that come in on a daily basis as well, and of course donors. There's always an increased need. The food insecurity has gone up in the city, so whether it be donors or volunteers, however you can help out, we're always looking to get the word out.
It costs about $4 per lunch, and Brown Bagging It for Calgary's Kids prepares about 8,000 sandwiches every day. The Republic of Korea Navy sailed into CFB Esquimalt this weekend. Canada and South Korea have come together to partake in historic joint naval drills amid Ottawa's bid to acquire new subs. And Transport Canada vows action after W5 uncovers a baggage tag switching scheme. A South Korean submarine sailed into Victoria, BC this past weekend for a joint military exercise with our Navy. But the sub is also on a mission to woo Canadian buyers with a procurement decision looming. CTV's Adrian Gabriel got a chance to check out the merchandise.
Cutting through Canadian coastal waters, the arrival of the Republic of Korea's Navy is promising to usher in a new era of middle power might and cohesion in protecting the open seas.
Be safe! Yeah! What really hits home is that Canada needs new submarines.
The Republic of Korea Navy arrived at CFB Esquimalt this weekend on board its KSS-3 submarine. A bid is in place for Canada to purchase 12 of these South Korean-made subs. The only other finalist vying to deliver Canada's next-generation submarine is a joint German-Norwegian bid. Ottawa will announce the winner of the contract this summer, which could come with a price tag of $25 billion. Korean Navy gave CTV News a tour inside the submarine that could be the centerpiece of Canada's naval future. We were forbidden from taking any of our own video inside. Korean Navy provided footage shows their crew in action. The submarine is more spacious inside than Canada's aging fleet, with the capability to deploy both anti-ship and land attack cruise missiles.
I just want to say thank you.
2 Canadian submariners traveled with the Korean Navy for part of the journey to Canada. When asked to compare the difference between the current Korean sub to Canada's aging fleet, they didn't mince words.
It's kind of like buying a brand new Tesla, and then you're coming out of a 99 Honda Civic.
The Canadian Navy's 4 Victoria-class subs were first built in the 1980s. Only one is currently operational.
You have 3 oceans to patrol. How difficult does that make your job?
I do not have enough ships to patrol and to protect Canada like we should, which is why we're investing.
Currently, the Canadian Navy has approximately 200 submariners. They will need at least 1,000 strong to operate a fleet of 12 submarines.
This is all about democracy and freedom.
The ambassador of the Republic of Korea to Canada believes his country is well positioned to help protect Canadian coastal sovereignty.
Middle powers need to work together, and Korea stands ready to work together with Canada.
In increasingly troubled waters, the Canadian government is focused on forging friendships as it rekindles historic military alliances.
With a decision expected as early as this June, whoever is chosen to deliver Canada's next-generation submarine is poised to play an integral role in shaping the country's Navy for decades to come. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, CFB Esquimalt.
The threat of an explosion in LA has been averted. Crews are cooling down a tank containing 25,000 liters of a flammable toxic chemical. There were concerns about an explosion because there was a vapor leak from a tank containing epoxy. Tens of thousands of people had to leave their homes because of the threat. The findings of a recent W5 investigation came up in the House of Commons today. It revealed security gaps at Canada's major airports, allowing illegal drugs to flow into our country. CTV's Ottawa Bureau Chief Graham Richardson reports.
It is a chilling, organized scheme uncovered by CTV's W5.
They opened up the bag. It was stuffed full of drugs.
Tags switched on checked bags, unwitting Canadians' luggage tags used to carry drugs in different bags, smuggled into the airport by corrupt employees.
You're all being detained for transporting narcotics.
The W5 investigation raised in the House of Commons Monday by the opposition.
I walk out through the terminal doors, nobody checks you. That's from a W5 investigation exposing organized crime using travelers' baggage to traffic drugs through Pearson Airport. Given the Transport Minister's silence on this brazen security failure, if the Liberals won't be taking this seriously now, why would Canadians believe they ever will with our security?
At least 6 arrests related to luggage tag swapping have been made by the RCMP. We continue to invest in law enforcement, Mr. Speaker.
This story has gone viral nationally and internationally, not only because of how many cases W5 uncovered, 17, but also because of the simple questions it raised. As passengers take off their shoes and belts and hand over water bottles at security, why aren't employees scrutinized?
We joke you could walk out carrying a cruise missile, end quote.
And it's not just Canada. These women from Brazil detained in Germany for over a month. Their bags were switched and caught on camera. They were blamed for carrying drugs. This video eventually freed them. One of the most challenging parts about this is how vulnerable passengers are when they check their bags. Because of this investigation, many of them will now look much more closely when they arrive. Graham Richardson, CTV News, Ottawa. We're digging up the past. Next, archaeology students and instructors are working along the bow to see what the ground reveals from 2,000 years ago. The Archaeological Field School is a chance for people to get hands-on experience digging into Calgary's past. Volunteers and archaeology students work with professionals at a dig site. This year it's in Edworthy Park, close to the Bow. The area appears to have some early Calgary settler history, but was also used by Indigenous hunters more than 2,000 years ago. Here's Kevin Fleming.
She's one of the volunteers here getting her hands dirty, and Melissa Muse uses a small shovel to break through roots so she can uncover what may be hiding in the soil beneath.
I just love that it's such a unique opportunity to connect with the land, learn a little bit about archaeology and what is going on down here, and try something new.
The Archaeology Field program is hosted by the City and University of Calgary for students and volunteers. Before the team chooses this spot, they dig a series of test sites down 90 centimeters to see if it's worth it. And it is, after discovering the tip of a projectile point.
It's what we call a bracken point. So it is something that dates roughly between 2,100 and 2,800 years ago. Based on its style, these things change stylistically over time. And at that point, they would have been using an atlatl or a dart thrower rather than a bow and arrow.
Laurentine Saddleback is an archaeology student in her final year and excited at the prospect of finding artifacts her ancestors would have used, like this pre-contact knife made from stone.
On a personal level, it feels really good knowing that I'm here as an Indigenous student finding our own people's artifacts. Our stone tools, what we use to, skin buffalo. It's pretty cool.
Lorene Bryant is sifting through the dirt from the excavation plots to look for any treasures.
When we think of the conservation cycle, if people are aware of things, if people care about things, they're more likely to protect them.
And I think too often folks kind of don't realize how much history Calgary have and how many thousands of years this place was used for, right?
The dig is also uncovering artifacts from Thomas Edworthy, who settled here, along with an industrial brickmaking facility that's well over 100 years old. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
So last year, the program uncovered stone circles and cultural material from pre-contact Indigenous groups in the park. Whatever the team discovers this year, it goes first to the University of Calgary for study, and then the artifacts are sent to the Royal Alberta Museum in Edmonton. All right, let's see what's trending tonight. By this time of night, we're all hungry, so this is going to make you even more hungry, because there's nothing like hot, fresh pizza. If only your favorite pizzeria was super close by.
Hallo. Yes, jeg håper det smaker.
Yeah, this is like working from home. This little pop-up in Oslo is all the rage. The team is making pizzas in their apartment. Good-looking pizzas, too.
Yeah.
And then they lower them down to their neighbors, paying patrons lined up below. They're doing between 75 and 90 pizzas a day.
But brilliant idea. You don't pay for rent, right?
Yes.
You do it right out of your home.
Yes, if you've got your own good little pizza oven.
Yep.
I'd line up for one of
A
those
good little
pizzas.
basket to take it down to the people there.
Brilliant, actually. Well, if you're throwing a party this summer, here's a good theme. The wrong theme.
I missed the pool. Is it a pool party? I'm here for the pajama party.
Hey, is this the 4th of July party? Is this Oktoberfest?
Okay, so it's the dressed for the wrong occasion party. They came as 4th of July party, as Oktoberfest. There was a bride there coming to her own wedding. You don't have to wait till Halloween to dress up. You just make up your own party.
Sure.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, I love it.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
Come up with lots of different ideas. Well, finally, an artist in France used a whole lot of fabric and air to turn the oldest bridge in Paris into a surreal inflated cave. So this art installation has enveloped the famous Pont Neuf. It's the latest work by renowned French street artist JR. It took more than 400,000 square feet of fabric and then a lot of air to blow it up. The artist says the enveloping illusion is meant to pay homage not only to the quarries that provided the stone foundation of that bridge, but also to a similar famous installation back in 1985 called the Pont Neuf Wrapped. This new experience will be open to the walking public in June.
Boy, talk about a lot of work.
Really cool,
Right? That looks
it?
really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
that is a great illusion.
Yeah.
Talk of Alberta separatism has some business owners concerned. Some point to the long-term damage caused by Quebec's referendum more than 30 years ago. We'll take a look at that next.
Welcome back. Beautiful blue-looking sky here through our Skywatch weather camera. Look at all the green that's happening. Spring has finally sprung, and we've got warm summer temperatures that are really helping the growing along. We have 25 for our high today. That's what we're sitting at currently right now, so exceeding what's normal for this time of year, and that will be the case throughout the rest of the work week here. We do take a turn as we get into Saturday and Sunday for those last 2 days of May. But otherwise, it's a really nice warm stretch to wrap up the month. Your 24-hour forecast brought to you by Action Furnace, fixed right or it's free, showing we're going to drop down to 13 tonight. So a warm evening ahead, some building cloud in the overnight hours, but still some sunshine to start Tuesday morning there, where we'll already be at 17 degrees en route to that high of 27. Now, as we get throughout the afternoon, those clouds will start to build and we could get some late day instability, but these temperatures for tomorrow, especially in the southeast corner, very warm at 34 in Medicine Hat, 33 for Brooks. Those areas are under that yellow level heat warning right now. We're not in it here in Calgary, but just outside of us to the east there, some areas along the Trans-Canada Highway are under that heat warning. We have some precipitation that could move in tomorrow too, assisted by this low pressure system here that kind of drops down this way, but creates this instability pocket of heat and conflicting air masses converging right over Calgary. By the time we get into Friday, a nice ridge develops, so more heat, more sunshine, but some cooler temperatures arriving by the weekend there. So Saturday and Sunday, you see that dip on the 10-day trend there. Expect clouds and some rain showers on those days as well.
Thank you, Gina. 3 people, a woman and 2 children, were hurt when they were hit by a car in front of a Northeast grocery store this afternoon. Police tell us the driver hit the gas instead of the brake and then ran into the pedestrians. The woman's injuries are serious. The children escaped with only minor injuries. A cybersecurity conference is underway in Calgary. The main topic is how people can stay ahead of threats that may come from AI. And premiers from Western Canada and the Territories are meeting in K-Country. Talk of separatism is dominating the agenda. BC Premier David Eby has accused Daniel Smith of stirring up separatist sentiment. Edmonton businesses and officials are concerned about how Alberta leaving Canada could impact the local economy. They point to other referendums and exits that have not aged well, and they hope Alberta does not follow suit. Here's Evan Kenny.
The Alberta separation push has been good for at least one local business. O Canada Gear says its sales are up.
Of course, there's Canada, and now there's been an influx of Alberta.
The movement is causing a surge at this store, but a scare for others.
The biggest thing I'm hearing is that this is a waste of time and it creates instability.
Mayor Andrew Knack says he's heard from a number of large and small-scale businesses. He says they are concerned about Edmonton's landscape if Alberta does separate from Canada.
It's no surprise to me that I've been already hearing from people who are questioning whether they should continue to invest in Alberta and specifically Edmonton.
A former Alberta economist now working in Montreal believes these businesses have reason to be concerned.
I've never really seen a successful exit or referendum that somehow makes businesses thrive afterward, or the economy thrives afterward.
He points to Quebec's recession after its separation referendum in the 90s. He compares the long-term impact to a cruise ship changing course. In the short term, the impact may not be noticeable.
And by the time that you realize that, hey, something's not right here, it might be impossible to go back, much in the same way that once you start turning that cruise ship, it's kind of hard to put it back on the original trajectory.
Prime Minister Mark Carney also weighed in on the matter, pointing to his experience with Brexit.
I saw firsthand what happened in the United Kingdom when the view was vote for this, it'll be soft, and then we'll negotiate, etc. And they ended up, and they're still 10 years later trying to undo what people didn't think they were voting for.
Premier Danielle Smith says she agrees with the Prime Minister Alberta should remain in Canada, but adds that we should not dismiss the legitimate grievances of Albertans. Back at O Canada Gear, it's not looking too far into the future and is happy with the additional sales it's getting for now.
Show your pride in something, get out there and support Canada, support Alberta.
Evan Kenny, CTV News, Edmonton.
Tim Hortons says it wants to hire more Canadians. The new campaign comes as the number of temporary foreign workers in its restaurants is declining. The coffee chain says it no longer needs to rely on foreign workers amidst high youth unemployment. The hiring announcement comes days after Tim said it will expand by 80 restaurants in Canada. Participants came to Calgary from all over Treaty 7 this weekend to participate in a healing powwow. This was Closer to Home's 4th annual All My Relations Healing Powwow. It's a chance for Indigenous and non-Indigenous Albertans to come together to learn more about each other. Powwows offer a safe space for healing, with the power of the drum representing the heartbeat of a community. The event always includes a full contest traditional dance component.
It's a wonderful opportunity to enjoy Indigenous culture. So we move through all the different dance categories. So we have dancers who are tiny tots. We have buckskin dancers who are much more experienced in their dancing.
There were also several tables set up to showcase Indigenous arts and crafts. A picturesque golf course near Ponoka has gone through a lot of changes. And now many say Wolf Creek has its bite back. Glenn has that story for us next.
He's going to become the first driver to win his first 4 Grand Prix all in a row. The checkered flag's there again for Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah, that was 19-year-old Mercedes driver Kimi Antonelli's 4th consecutive win this season. Despite inclement weather, the F1 race drew close to 360,000 fans to the stands in Montreal. That's a record for the Canadian Grand Prix. Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton came 2nd and Red Bull's Max Verstappen 3rd. Over at the Indy 500, a finish doesn't come much closer than this one.
Here comes Rosenquist, Malukas defends, who has it, over the line, who's it going to be? It's Rosenquist! Oh my goodness!
Felix Rosenquist made a daring pass coming out of the last turn to win in a literal photo finish. He won by 0.023 seconds. That is the closest margin of victory ever at the Indy 500. The race also honored NASCAR driver Kyle Busch, who died at age 41 last week. Drivers had his former numbers 8 and 18 on their cars. Wolf Creek Golf Resort went through some tough times a few years back. Glenn is here with us, and Glenn, Wolf Creek has rebounded, and it's a destination once again.
Tara, Wolf Creek went through an ownership change in 2023, and it turned out to be a fantastic move because the wolf is howling again.
You can't miss Wolf Creek Golf Resort. You can see it from the Queenie 2 on the way to Ponoka.
Wolf Creek Golf Resort has a rich history. It's one of Canada's top public golf courses and has hosted 13 Alberta Opens. But in 2022, ownership was running out of money and the course suffered. Wolf Creek went into receivership and lost its bite.
When you have that situation where they're not, the conditions are just deteriorating and the people just go away, whether it be they get tired of having their corporate tournament in poor conditions and so on.
In 2023, Golf North out of Ontario bought Wolf Creek Golf Resort, and the turnaround was immediate. The Wolf got its teeth back.
After Golf North bought it out of receivership, they set up programs, fertilizer, all the best programs for the golf course, some things to take care of water and so on. And now 3 years later, I think everybody's seeing the place is coming back just the way we remember the old Wolf.
Rob Jarina has been playing at Wolf Creek for a long time. He admits it was a scary time not knowing what was going to happen to Wolf Creek. He's happy the Wolf is howling again.
It's absolutely awesome. I mean, the course has come a long way from the state that it was in, and you can just see the ongoing investment and the improvements that are being made. It's making I played the Wolf when I was quite young. I'm an Alberta boy, and to see it coming back to where it was in its pristine days is absolutely awesome.
Wolf Creek is a 36-hole facility designed by Rod Whitman. There's an old course and there's the links course, and they're both getting rave reviews.
There's such a variety and such a difference between the two courses. I love both of them. I prefer the old course, but only by about that much. They're both fantastic courses to play.
Comments like that are music to Jim Boomer's ears. He knows all the hard work is paying off.
It's really been rewarding to see the look on people's faces when they come and they, this is the place I remember, and that means a lot to hear that on a daily basis.
Well, the Calgary Marathon is wrapped up for another year with some fast times and inspiring stories. More than 20,000 runners signed up to run in distances ranging from 5 kilometers to a full marathon. $700,000 was raised for more than 100 charities, including some inspiring stories told to CTV. Sloan Maskovich has battled stage 4 neuroblastoma, defeating the disease twice. It's what inspired the Strong Like Sloan Foundation, raising money to give children a fighting chance against pediatric cancers.
We realized how little funding went into pediatric cancer research. Only 7% of cancer research funding in our country goes to pediatrics, yet it's the #1 cause of death by disease in kids. So we knew that we wanted to make a difference.
Since Sloan's diagnosis nearly 3 years ago, the Strong Like Sloan Foundation has raised $500,000 for pediatric cancer research in Alberta. That is wonderful.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pretty great weekend for a marathon. We got a pretty great week for running ahead.
Yeah, and we're really not slowing down when it comes to the temperatures out there. Lots of heat for the next 5 days here. And I don't think this young buck's complaining about the weather forecast here. Great shot taken by Lois for your weather window, brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style, budget, and Alberta's climate. Feel free to send us a picture. You can do it by texting 10400, just like Lois did. And when we look at the next 5 days here, pretty good for the most part. We got about 4 more days of above seasonal temperatures. It's just the conditions that are a little all over the map. Expect some showers, some pop-up thunderstorms in the afternoons and early evenings for the next couple of days. And then more of that cooler weather returning by Saturday, Tara.
Thanks for your company tonight. Have a terrific evening. We'll see you again tomorrow.